Of the agenda. Approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Dr. Beadle, I move that we accept the agenda as presented today.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. A motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Dr. Beadle, I'll second.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor with rate, oh, I'm sorry, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, raise hand and or aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, motion carries unanimously 7-0. And let's go on to our mission statement. Together with our families and community, we will inspire students to be passionate learners, creative thinkers, and innovative leaders who enrich our world. All right, let's go on now to our district communication. Dr. Kelsey Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Beadle. Good evening, board members and Brown Deer community. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our district showcase this evening begins with a partnership with that was established between our parent engagement liaison, Ellen Simmons and Pastor Jay Perkins, in collaboration with the Ed Foundation. Pastor Jay of RISE MKE and the Education Foundation of Brown Deer continue to focus on the betterment of our students and families of the Brown Deer community. In partnering with joint efforts, Ellen Simmons, Pastor Jay, and the Education Foundation helped orchestrate the partnership between the Brown Deer School District and Blessings in a Backpack. Blessings in a Backpack is a nationwide organization that helps provide assortments of healthy food for our families to take, for our students to take home on the weekends. All of our students at the elementary school who are experiencing food scarcity or are in need of food on the weekends will go home with a bag of food on Friday afternoons in hopes that they can come back Monday with full stomachs, ready and focused on learning. I want to say thank you to the Ed Foundation, Ellen Simmons, and Pastor Jay. You have intentionally supported the students and families of Brown Deer, and we look forward to many more years of partnering. And I know we had mentioned this a few months back, and Pastor Jay was unable to get on with us at that time. And I'm not sure that I see him at this point. I'm not sure that I see Pastor Jay. But we want to thank the Ed Foundation. Barb Fleming was unable to join us tonight. Dorinthia, I don't know if you want to say anything on behalf of the Ed Foundation.
Oh, we're just happy to be able to assist those students who are in need.
Thank you. And then secondly, we all we knew earlier on we had some of our students who were participating in the Young People's Art Exhibition. And we have some results as a result of our students' participation. So over the summer, 4 Brown Deer High School students, recent graduates, Emmeline Yoon Buck, Melina Thongzi, and Anaya Lentz, current 12th grader Gretchen Karthauser entered the 53rd Annual Young People's Art Exhibition at the 2021 Wisconsin State Fair, which we all know we weren't sure if Wisconsin would have been able to pull that off this summer, but we did. Their artwork was displayed for 10 days during the state fair. Emmeline Toon Buck was awarded the Superintendent's Award in the acrylic division. We want to say thank you to Emmeline, Melina, Anaya, and Gretchen for representing Brown Deer in the Young People's Art Exhibition at the 2021 Wisconsin State Fair. And our students were not able to join us this evening, but as we know, whether our students are here or have gone on to do great things, we continue to promote their work as we continue to spread the great things that are happening here in the school district of Brown Deer. So when you see any one of these individuals, please say thank you to them as we continue to go and grow in this work and continue to do our best work. So congratulations to everyone who is a part of this amazing work. And that will end the district showcase.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Kelsey Brown. Again, Ellen, Pastor Jay, the Ed Foundation, thank you so much for all of the hard work and dedication that you do to ensure that our students have certain things and going above and beyond all the time. Thank you so much on behalf of the board. And to our young people and to our young people and for the art exhibit, hats off to you guys, you ladies and gentlemen, because you know what? You are what make us do what we do on a daily basis, all the time. Brown Deer Strong, and you make us so proud. So thank you so much. All right, let's go on now to our district administrator's report. Dr. Kelsey Brown.
Thank you again, Dr. Beadle. Just want to remind our community, Fast Bridge testing, which is our local district assessment, will be coming up shortly. And so please expect to receive parents expect to receive additional information at the school level regarding Fast Bridge testing. Just a reminder there. This is homecoming week in our school district, and we are trying to proceed with homecoming to provide as many experiences as possible with some sense of normalcy for our students. And so we are going to have the homecoming dance. We have the football game on Friday. We have our parade on Friday. So we ask everyone to please come out and support our students. I want to say thank you to Ms. Brown and Ms. Yvette Richardson for pulling this all together for our students and our students who had a voice in this as we continue to implement our mitigation protocols to keep everyone safe and healthy, in the spirit of wellness. We are going to move ahead with providing that experience for our students as we move forward.
Dr.
So-
Kelsey Brown.
Yes.
Question for you. Just because, everybody may not know. So now we're talking about homecoming is October 1st with a parade. Where will the parade start from and where will the parade end?
I do not, Ms. Brown, do you have that information at hand?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. So from my understanding, it will begin around 50th and Dean Road and go all the way down past the elementary school and then to the high school. But I will have Yvette Richardson for the direct path to Dr. Brown, and then she can help with or having Ms. Ross email it out to the board members.
Okay, thank you very much, because I know that some people don't know, and maybe the parade route had changed. So to solidify this, Ms. Brown, is the parade will start on 50th and Dean and proceed to Dean Elementary School and then to the high school, correct?
Yes,
And what time is the game?
the game is 7:00 p.m.
All right, and do you know who we're playing?
We are playing Martin Thomas. Or Mark,
Thank
Martin.
Same time? I mean, are we
no, it's like Martin.
Martin Luther? Are we playing
Sorry,
Martin Luther?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, all right, Martin Luther. Okay, all right, thank you very much.
And our dance starts Saturday at 7:30.
Okay, is the board members allowed to be able to come and get our boogie on too? What, can we get in there? What's up?
Dr. Brown, are you gonna advise on that one, Kim?
Yes, board members are absolutely, you are welcome to come to the dance to get to get your groove on
No old school dances.
with your
You know
facial,
what, no two-step? What you talking about?
with your facial coverings, Dr. Beadle. So let's be clear.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate
You're
it.
Okay, item number 3 is, just want to share with everyone, we are trying to take a more inclusive approach to parent-teacher conferences this year. One of the pieces that we learned from this experience is we can now do things that we normally would have done totally in person. Now we have a virtual option. So for parents who may, for example, have to work in the evening, but can find, 15 minutes of time to get away to have parent-teacher conferences virtually with their teachers. We're going to explore that for the first time this year, see how it pans out, assess it, and figure out what it may need to look like next year. So on the Tuesday night, we will be, no, I'm sorry, this is inaccurate. On the Tuesday night, we will be in person. The Wednesday night, we will be virtual, and then Thursday will be a hybrid experience for our family. So we're just trying to explore as many, or the two options, if you will, for in-person parent-teacher conferences, as well as virtual. So let me again make the correction to what's noted here on the agenda. October 12th will be in person. October 13th will be virtual. And October 14th will be the hybrid experience. And parents, we will continue to send out information to our parents, and they will be able to sign up. Parents will be able to sign up for whichever option would be most amenable or convenient for them for parent-teacher conferences. And then Friday is no school. And then any questions about parent-teacher conferences?
I have just a quick question. What does the hybrid consist of?
So the hybrid option, staff members will be in the district. The field house will still be set up. It really impacts the middle high school more than elementary school, because in elementary school, teachers are in their classrooms, right? And so everyone will be on campus, on site here. And if parents want to come to the building to have their parent-teacher conference, we'll be amenable to that. But if they want to do it virtually, they'll have that option on that day as well. Great question, Stacy. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, number 4, just wanted to share with the board and the community last week, I had the opportunity to attend the WASDA Superintendent's Conference. This is the first WASDA Superintendent's Conference in person since COVID hit. And it was a great experience to network with other superintendents, get feedback as it relates to how they're navigating this experience. And then also they had some great keynote speakers who came in to talk to us about issues around equity and social justice. So that was great last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So thank you for that opportunity. And any questions about WASDA? Okay, and then finally, I just wanted to share with the board and the community, we are what you have seen nationwide in school districts as they experience these TikTok challenges from students. We have also experienced some of that, the TikTok challenges in our school district. The first one was arrive to school late, or like be intentional about being late, right? So we were seeing some of that. That was for the month of August. And then for the month of September, it was trash the bathroom, which candidly speaking, we have experienced some of that. And so Jody and her team have been trying to get in front of this, and principals are putting strategies in place to get in front of this, to prevent this from happening to the extent that we possibly can. And then I wanted everyone to know that a Sky Alert went out to our families yesterday to help them understand, number one, these behaviors will not be tolerated. And number two, when we know and understand who is behind these behaviors, they will be handled accordingly. So just wanted the board to be aware of that, and aware that, make the board aware that we are aware, and we are putting strategies in place to get in front of that, the whole TikTok challenge, again, which is a nationwide effort. And I will say it's unfortunate, but it has touched us as well. Any questions about the social media platforms and school-related viral challenges?
I have a question for you, Dr. Kelsey Brown. Is this, do we have something that's already in place that will say that, you know, of course, we know certain behaviors will not be tolerated, but do we have anything in place that said that what the consequence could be for doing something like, okay, like destruction of school property, that would be, you know, doing the bathroom and stuff like that? I mean, is this going to be something that we already kind of have things in place for, or is this going to be something that's going to be judged case by case?
There are consequences associated with just, for example, vandalism. There are consequences. I don't know them off the top of my head. The hardest part with this is figuring out who did it, to be very honest with you. But again, when we find out who did it, or the they, there could potentially be some theys behind this. We will take a look at our administrative guidelines and our policies and handle them in accordance with the situation. And some are more extreme than others, I would say. And so that also has to be, the case-by-case basis would also be a part of that. Once we know and understand the who.
So has this only been happening in the high school, or has it been happening in the high school, in the middle school? Because this whole thing with TikTok, all the kids, it goes to all of the kids. So has this been happening in the high school or the middle school or
Well,
the elementary school or all?
Not the elementary school, the middle and the high school.
Okay. And how long ago did this happen? Because I'm thinking about the first 48. If we can get them in the first 48, somebody will spill their guts.
Joe, do you want to speak to that? We had one. They were in the first few weeks of school.
This has been
Yeah.
ongoing. So the way that these TikTok challenges are working is that there's a new one per month. So Dr. Beadle, unfortunately, this has been going on since probably the first or second week of school this year.
All right. Thank you very much. Because like sometimes when certain things happen or whatever, especially something that goes out virtually or whatever, all of the kids know that because it goes out to a whole set of kids or whatever. That's why I was wondering, do we have any ideas or we do know we have all of our kids are good kids. And if a certain a student is asked, they will tell them. So I was just kind of wondering in relationship to that, were we doing that? And maybe just the reinforcement, letting all of our students know on an announcement or something on our website, like this will not be tolerated and we will be doing something about those behaviors that happen. So, so that way parents know, the students know, and maybe that may be something that may deter someone or someone may let us know before it gets ready to happen.
I have a question. Dr. Brown?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm listening.
No,
I'm there. I'm
I
listening.
couldn't hear me, so I didn't know. Just these, I've seen a list of these challenges. I, for some reason, didn't get the Sky Alert, or I missed it, or it went to my husband. But do we have a way of telling, parents probably think that the school is on top of it, but then they may have an inkling about their child. Is there a way, if we could get them on the team as far as, if you hear anything, may not be your child, notify building admin, just something to something to give parents that availability to contact the school without, they may just have an inkling, but they'll think, well, I don't really know, where they could just, leave a message at the principal's thing where they just really wouldn't be involved. And even also with the students, and I'm thinking about the younger, the sixth graders mainly, they hear a lot, but are like, I'm not telling, is there a way that they could, slide a note to someone? I don't know if there's a way that we could encourage students and parents to alert someone without making it actually an alert where, you're pulled in the office later because, you thought something. I don't know if you all have, not talked about that, or if that would even be helpful.
So we definitely can have that conversation at the school level to understand what that could look like. The Sky Alert went out on yesterday. And in the Sky Alert, we did ask parents to notify us in the event that they hear anything regarding these TikTok challenges. To be very honest with you, we believe that now that our students know that we know that the challenges are going to change. And so being in a position to keep up with this is going to be a challenge, to be very honest with you, but we're going to do everything we can to get in front of it. And when we know, students know, we will encourage students to share the information with us. It's highly unlikely, again, full transparency, because it's kids. But we'll do everything we can to prevent it from happening in our school district.
Okay, then one more question. And I don't even, you're right, they may change, but one of them was to assault someone. How are we preparing teachers or their feelings about, this may happen in the workplace? Are they any support in that area? Because one of them that I saw, and I don't even know, if that's what it is, but are we getting in front of that if any staff has any anxiety about anything.
Unless this happened at the building level, I haven't received anything from staff members regarding like having a level of anxiety about what might occur. Principals, if anything has come to you, please feel free to share. But our SEL team is a part of trying to get in front of that and be more visible and vigilant, and just, everybody having our antennas up as it relates to what's going on in our spaces. I did share with, I met with BDEA our union representatives last Friday to share with them. When it comes to instances like this, we all have to it's all hands on deck. And it's always all hands on deck in school. We work with children, but essentially, when you see something, say something, but also be responsive to our students when they're in the hall, whether they're your kids or not, in your grade level or in your content area. If we see students misbehaving, we all have to be responsive to that, because once they know any adult in our buildings will say something, if you're doing something that's inappropriate, that also sends a message as well.
Dr. Beadle,
Yes, Ms. Peterson.
I just wanted to, point out, I think that this week and last week, I noticed on the restrooms, there's a sign that says, paraphrasing, the cameras are watching you to a degree. Is this a preventative measure for what's going on? Was that one of the ways that we are, or did I just not notice it any other time? But is it one of the preventative measures that we're trying to use to prevent our students and discourage them from at least attacking our bathrooms, for lack of a better word?
Kara, you want to speak to that? I haven't seen the signs up. Ms. Peterson, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm all over the place, but I haven't seen those signs.
I believe she's referring to the signs on the Four Corners bathrooms. Those seem to be the ones that have received a better part of the vandalism, and Jody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think just to let them know that that there are, I didn't place them there, but sometimes it's a preventative measure, right? So that if they know that somebody's probably going to be able to, trace back the clock and see who's coming in and out, it's a hindrance. Yeah. So.
Right. Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I noticed it, and I'm not a student,
right.
so
I did too when I walked by. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
All right.
I actually put the signs up. I can talk about that. So we put them in the middle school bathrooms. On the middle school bathrooms, it just says stop, think. You're being watched in the hallway. And then it says like destruction of school property is not acceptable. Just again, trying to make people aware that, that there's eyes on them. They say sometimes the number one deterrent for crime is turning on the lights. So I just wanted, people to know that the lights were on, and if we wanted to trace back things, we could, but we put them on the middle school bathrooms and then also those Four Corner bathrooms as well. And I think there's one also in the front, right by the bathrooms by the front office.
Yeah, great. Jay, thank you. Great idea.
I think additionally, when we're talking about like TikTok challenges or any type of challenges that could possibly lead to school vandalism or anyone possibly even being hurt, educating our students on not only the dangers of doing such things, but not only the consequences behind it, but the possible loss of academic time that could come along with this. We all have experienced COVID and the academic losses there, and we don't need any of our students participating in activities as such that can also take them away from school even longer for any type of behaviors as such. And so I think educating our students both on the consequences, but also, hey, you also want to be losing some educational time, is just as important. Some of our students do want, actually all of our students want to be here. Let's just say it like that. All of our students want to be here. As you can tell by our enrollment, not only from our enrollment, but also from our overall attendance thus far. And taking these opportunities away from our students is something that they need to be mindful of if these types of things do happen, but educated around why these types of things should not happen in school. And so there's a combination of both educating our students on the dangers of certain social media behaviors, not just TikTok, okay? But also the dangers around the possibilities of students harming each other, someone else, for the lack of fun that they may call fun from a TikTok conversation. And so I think there's two sides of that conversation that we also have to tackle and challenge ourselves to do better with. Our teachers have to have a more conversation about this, as well as our administration, which we have, and we'll continue to do so as these things unfold. But I also want to put out there that there's way more students in our district that are doing the right thing than that aren't. And so that's something that we need to make sure that we put in this conversation as well for our students to hear. There's a lot more students in our school districts that's doing the right thing in this conversation than that are not. And the few students that may try to participate in these conversations should not trump the conversations around all of our students who are doing what's right. And so again, to our parents and to our, of course, to our community members, that's something that we also want to echo here in the Brown Deer School District.
Thank you, Mr. Garrison. And unless there are any other questions, that wraps up the district administrator's report.
All right, Dr. Kelsey Brown, let's go to our principal's update.
All right, we can start at the elementary school with Mr. Griffin. Unmute, Mr. Griffin. Unmute for us.
Okay, hello.
Yes, there
Thank
you
you
are.
for
Thank you.
welcoming this evening. I just want to shout out the elementary staff, Sarah Halverson and Mr. Love in particular, because their leadership is invaluable during this time. Some very big key things that are going on at the elementary when it comes to staffing updates. We are in the process of hiring for one grade level educator. And we're looking to hire about 2 to 3 educational assistants to fill particular voids. When it comes to our meeting updates, we are still having our Monday PLCs that are led by our instructional coaches. And then in addition to that, on Thursdays, we've started some in building personal learning days as well that are based on Lucy Calkins training and just best instructional pedagogy that is aligned with ensuring that kids are engaged in their reading process to begin. When it comes to our SEL and school culture, we have new teacher meetings once a month at our school for all new Falcons. A strong start for new Falcon mentoring program within our building, where the new educators are partnered with different educators in our building so that they can build camaraderie. School-wide book study in regards to fostering resilient learners, which will become our school-wide PPG. Committee meetings have been placed on hold for this year because we understand in the midst of COVID, there's a lot on educators' plates. So we're trying to cut down on meetings to give teachers more time to collaborate and be with each other. When it comes to the academic side, as I stated before, instructional coaches are designing and implementing professional learning. The primary basis of that was Lucy Calkins. And then in addition to that, we also highlighted just engaging our kids in reading with the engagement piece. We also had the PLC reboot, so we're continuing to utilize that. And then we have a school-wide SLO that's focused around reading, where it's going to span over 3 years. We're expecting our kids to grow exponentially in reading to ensure that we're producing the best kids around. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Mr. Griffin from the board?
Oh, I do have one quick question, Mr. Griffin. With the enrollment numbers that we have in there, how's everything going on within the building itself?
Currently, we have 720 kids that are inside of our school, and everything is going very, very well, all things considered. There's no issues, no problems that are major that I can report out to you at this time.
All right, okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Beadle. Thank you, Mr. Griffin. And we are now moving on to Ms. Pitchford at the middle school.
I'm sorry, I have one quick question. I couldn't unmute myself. With the committee meetings, which committee meetings it is, and then I didn't understand how it was aligned with the PBIS. Does that mean all the committee meetings related to PBIS are on hold for a year? or you're doing PBIS instead of the committee meeting?
PBIS is one of our standalone committees, and since we were recognized last year by the Wisconsin DPI Department of Public Education, and awarded a bronze certificate for our reduction in school discipline referrals, we want to keep that committee up and running for this year, and that
Oh,
also connected to our school-wide PPG with the Foster Resilient Learners, where professional development will start happening around that once a month in that book to ensure that we are taking a trauma lens and ensuring that we are still operating with high equitable practices to serve our kids that way. The committee meetings that we're kind of scaling back right now would be our after-school programming committee that will help get things aligned for after school, because we do have some people that will still work with them on that. Some of our cultural programming that we would normally have, we're scaling back a little bit. We'll still celebrate cultures within our school, but as far as like the committees that would do that work, we're scaling back because there's a lot on our teachers' plates at this moment.
okay. No, I think I read it wrong because it says with the expectation of PBIS, I mean with the exception.
Oh, my
So
apologies.
that's why it confused me. Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Pitchford.
All right, good evening, everyone. First, I definitely want to give a shout out to our middle school assistant principal, Mr. Henderson. He's been holding it down for me. First when I was ill and yesterday and today when I was at some restorative practices training. So we definitely have a really great leadership team at the middle school. Here are our middle school updates. As far as staffing updates, we're super excited to be welcoming Mr. Tyree Tucker as our middle school SEL support interventionist. And he has really just hit the ground running. He also participated in the restorative practices training that we had, and he'll be doing some onboarding with Mr. Winston this week. So we're really excited to have him on board. Some of our meeting updates. This past week, we were able to hold our first Falcon Family grade level meetings, and we held those over Zoom for our 6th grade families, 7th and then 8th grade families. We were able to send out the recording for all families who could not participate in those meetings, but we were able to provide some great updates, and parents were able to ask questions and get some questions answered as well. We also are doing our new teacher weekly check-ins, and that's just happening on Thursdays, just for them to get together, see what needs they may have, how we can best support them as they are new coming into the school district of Brown Deer. Our PLCs, it's not on here, but our PLCs have also started, and those are up and running as well. As far as SEL and culture, we're really trying to focus and do some intentional work around building our culture during our nest times. On Monday, we participate in our Brown Deer Way lessons with our students. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we use our Peace of Mind SEL social justice curriculum with our students to really just really support them in with dealing with their emotions and feelings, letting them know that emotions and feelings are okay, but just giving them some positive and proactive strategies to help them deal with their emotions, whether it's through mindfulness, breathing exercises, and really learning to talk through emotions. Thursday, we're really focusing on our community building through our Falcon Circles, and we're able to provide our teaching staff with specific prompts for community circles that they can hold with their students, really building up that community within their classroom. And on Fridays, teachers have been asked to do individual check-ins with each student. We know that in order to build strong relationships, you need to be able to know the students who you're serving. And so really building in that time where they're meeting with just a couple of students each Friday, so they can just really learn more about that particular student, what their needs are, possibly do some goal setting with those students. So that's how we're really trying to wrap our arms around all of our students as we continue to build our classroom and school culture. As far as academics, our workshop models being implemented in our math classes. Another shout out to Sarah Griffey, Dana Rosman, who are just been a phenomenal support in those classrooms, actually going in the classrooms and supporting those teachers right on the spot as they're implementing the workshop model. SLO work has begun across all content areas. Content area teachers will be doing content area SLOs. And math and reading intervention groups are being formed, and teachers are looking over the list now so we can begin implementation in both math and reading intervention groups. It's not on here, but we're also super excited about our after-school program, Falcon AfterSet, which will be starting in mid-October. Jay and Sarah are kind of spearheading that, along with some other staff members. So we're excited about really just being able to beef up the opportunities that we're going to be providing for our middle school students. We know learning takes place in all different forms and facets, and so we're excited to be able to offer them different opportunities outside of the classroom walls. And the last thing, just so everyone is aware, our overall theme for Brown Deer Middle School is the fact that we care. And that's an acronym for C is for collaborate, A is for accountability, R is for relationship building, and E is for empathy. So we care in Brown Deer Middle School. That is our report.
Thank you, Ms. Pitchford. Any questions for Ms. Pitchford?
I have a question for Ms. Pitchford. Kind of the same question that I have for Mr. Griffin is with the numbers of students that we have in the middle school, how's that working out in our building right now?
I think overall we're on a positive trajectory. I think because we have 100% of the students back in person, or almost 100%. Whereas, I think there are some normal kinks that we're working out. Sixth grade is probably our largest grade level right now. And that's the one grade level where we have 5 content teachers versus we have 6 content teachers at 7th and 8th grade. But we're working around that. And that was one of the reasons why we kind of adjusted our Falcon Flex time at the end of the school day. We added 2 allied arts teachers to help support us with the 6th grade, so we can kind of make those class sizes a little bit smaller at the end of the day, so students can get more individualized support and attention during those last 40 minutes of the school day. So we're making it work, and we're excited about where we're going in middle school, and really just supporting all of our students because they deserve it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pitchford. Does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Pitchford? All right, Dr. Kelsey Brown.
All right, thank you, Dr. Vito. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Brown at the high school.
Good evening, everyone. So for staffing updates, we are in the process of hiring 2 special education teachers. One is because our special education teacher received a promotion in another district, so that created a vacancy for us. And one position actually has been a longer term vacancy. So we are in the process for hiring 2 special education teachers. We have an interview scheduled tomorrow for one, and then we have our other position posted on weekend, and we are actively seeking a candidate for that position. Because Mr. Tucker was a paraprofessional in the high school, and now he is a SEL coordinator, we love the growth that he is going to experience in his new position, but unfortunately that created another vacancy for us. So we are in the process of hiring a paraprofessional to replace Mr. Tucker. So we are okay with staffing, but we definitely have to fill a few more positions. For just our general updates, we are in our homecoming week. This is our Spirit Week. Our students have been very excited about this week. They're very excited for the upcoming pep rally, our parade, of course, our football game and our dance. And then they have had this whole entire week to have Spirit Week. And so they have been very excited about that. I love the way our students come to me and they advocate for themselves. They advocated for what they wanted to do. They email me. They are just very active and engaged students, and I'm just really happy to see that. So when they come to me, it's really hard for me to say no, because I just love the way that they're advocating for themselves and the way that they present everything, like all the questions that I have, they always have an answer and they're very thorough. So I just really love the engagement from our students. As far as the staff, we had our PLC reboot professional development last Friday, and then we did our official PLC kickoff this week. We met in our content area teams, and I have worked with the coaches and the district coaches to assign them to our 4 content areas. So we always have an additional support person to answer questions, to keep us focused, and really just make sure that we are implementing PLCs with fidelity at the high school. Right now in our PLCs, we are unpacking standards. So in some areas, they have what new or revised standards. So we're looking at what do those new and revised standards look like for the high school, unpacking those, seeing what they mean, talking about our learning activities. Are we planning learning activities that match the rigor of the standard? And then something that I have asked them to do is also pull up the ACT standards for their content area. And they are kind of trying to parallel what they have to teach for the state standard, but then also looking at the ACT standard and being able to plug those experiences in with their learning for the students as well. If we look at our SEL, we're working really hard to change our school culture. Our teachers in some respects were maybe used to a little bit more punitive, but this year Dr. Brown made it very clear that we have our restorative coordinators in place, and she really wanted us to utilize a restorative practice with our students, and that involves repair harms with teachers, circles, them making one-on-one meetings, and really just trying to create an environment where relationships and understanding are first, and a lot of support with the families and the students before we're implementing any punitive consequences with students. So students definitely feel like we, what I would call, because our theme this year is love. So they definitely feel the love first, but at the same time, we love sometimes with some additional reinforcements, but we definitely try to give our students all the love first. And then, you know, we proceed as accordingly based on what is occurring. For academics, I've already talked about this a little bit, but we are PLC heavy. We are talking about instruction, standards, learning, and then we are creating plans. So in addition to the coaches joining the PLCs, I have also asked them to do observations in that content area. And then I have meetings with them roughly every 2 weeks. And we talk about what have we seen in those observations, and then what level of support do we need to offer those teachers. So we are doing a lot of SEL things, but we are really focused on instruction. For our SLOs, for our building, we have a goal that currently our ACT score is 17.3. I have given them a goal of raising our ACT score to 20, because that is the next band of standards from where we currently are. And so the staff member definitely felt that that was a very rigorous goal set for us. But I told them that if we are very intentional about what we teach and why we're teaching, that goal is very obtainable for us. When we differentiate for our kids and make sure that we know where they are and where we need to get them, and we are not using this holistic teaching, but we're using that reading and writing and math workshops in those classrooms so those kids get that strategic instruction and help build those skills. I told them that I think we can do it. So we are very focused on making sure that our kids are college and career ready, and also having those options for their post-secondary. So we're busy at the high school. We're having a lot of fun, but it's not all fun. We are really trying to get that academic focus and that rigor, that not that it left the high school, but we just want to be more intentional about it. So that is our report for the high school.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Any questions for Ms. Brown?
I have a question I just have, and just a quick comment. And I just want to say, I applaud your efforts in creating an ambitious goal of moving from 17.3 to 20 on the ACT score.
Thank you.
I got you. I'm very supportive of that. Let's set that bar high, and because I know that our students can do it.
I know our
Absolutely.
students can do it, and I know that we have the right staff members that will be able to take our students there. I just think that we just need, like I said, to be very focused and intense about what we are teaching, why we are teaching, and how we are engaging our students in these learning opportunities. And so we are working on all of those things with our teachers. So we're going to get there. I'm excited to be at the high school. I'm excited about the teachers and the students that I have to work with every day. So I just think that we are going to build a culture of, you know, a lot of rigorous learning at the high school. So I look forward to those changes.
Thank you.
Then, you know what, I think I'm really more excited also as well is about all of the restorative justice practices that we're getting ready to do. Rather than students being suspended and being out of school, them understanding what they did, how to make it right, and then hopefully being able to stay in school and not make the same mistake twice. I think that is another one of those components to be able to have those students start to achieve at a higher level and being able to do that. So hats off, high school. We know how hard it is for the high school and the middle school and for the elementary school. We've set the bar high for everybody. We've got the right people in place. Let's get it done.
Thank you. And that ends the principal's report. Thank you, everyone. Great job, team.
All right, let's go on now to our consent agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve our consent agenda as presented?
Sure, Dr. Beadle, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the August 6, 2021 special board meeting and board retreat, the minutes of the August 10th, 2021 special board meeting work session, the minutes of the August 18th, 2021 joint meeting with the Village of Brown Deer, the minutes of August 24th, 2021, the regular board meeting, the minutes of August 30th, 2021, the special board meeting, and the schedule of voucher payments via check, ACH, wire transfers in the amount of $862,529.78 in the general checking account and the food service account, including funds 10, 21, 27, 39, 47, 49, 50, 72, and 80.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. A motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Dr. Beadle, I'll second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zick. All right, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion before vote? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor with raised hand and or aye. 3, 4, 5. All right, motion carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you very much. Let's go on to item 4, items for discussion, consideration, and possible board action. Mr. Clemick.
Good evening, board members. The first item, new hires, not without trying. We do not have any new hires to present to you this evening. So then I can move on to item B, resignations. We do have one resignation tonight. Amy Huck, an elementary school teacher who submitted a resignation on Friday.
I do have one question in relationship to that resignation. Now, was that the person, didn't she accept the position at the same time and then resign like the same day or whatever? I did not read that wrong.
No, she submitted a resignation on Friday, and Friday was her last day. She's been with the district since the end of August. She was one of our late hires, right toward the beginning of the school year.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Yeah, I have a question, Dr. Beadle.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms. Peterson.
I was just wondering because her email indicated that she declined her contract. So did she decline a contract or did she accept the contract and then ultimately decide not to work for us any longer?
Because she was a late hire, we were going through paperwork with her just to make sure that everything was addressed. And then I think when we got to the point of ensuring that she had signed her contract, that's when she declined to do, and that was basically her last day. So we did not have a signed contract with her, but she was teaching for, like I said, the first 3+ weeks of the school year.
Okay, thank you.
Is that customary for us to allow them to start without the contract signed?
No. It was work that we have to do in the human resources side, but again, it was late, late hire, and we will certainly be making sure that we get those signed in a much quicker timeline than we did in this particular case.
And no contract then means no liquidated damages then, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, any other further discussion? All right, hearing and seeing none, all in favor. Oh, I'm sorry. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the resignation of Amy Huck?
Dr. Beadle, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resignation of Amy Huck as an elementary school 5th grade teacher effective September 24th, 2021.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Peterson, a motion has been made. Do we have a second? We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Dr. Beadle, I'll second it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Linsky. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor would raise hand and or aye. All right, motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on to item number C, discussion of our COVID-19 protocols. Dr. Kelsey Brown or Nurse Farrington.
I will start the discussion or conversation. This is an informational item to the board where we are right now, our current protocol in terms of positive cases and quarantining kids in our classrooms. We are quarantining classrooms, as we well know. I will, as of today, we have quarantined 126 students at the elementary school due to positive students in the classroom. Currently, only one, and this is all year, the number of students we quarantine, but currently we have one class of 21 students who's currently out at the elementary school, and they'll return on Monday. We also have other students who are out due to home quarantines or illnesses. So what I want to share with the board is, in addition to the contact tracing that we do here in the school district, which I have alluded to on numerous occasions, is all consuming for one person to do. We also have parents who have been diligent and vigilant in calling us to let us know when positive cases, when their students are noted positive cases. And so that also requires us to contact trace as well, depending on the date that child who turned positive was in the classroom last, in terms of the interaction with their classmates. At the middle high school, we have about 284 quarantines and this is fourth week of school, including from school, home, and illnesses. Currently, no classes are quarantined at this time at the middle high school. Our reasoning, we have a COVID-19 task force, which includes myself, Mr. Garrison, Mr. Griffin, Ms. Farrington, Ms. Schmeiska, and Ms. Atandari, to consistently have discussions around what this looks like in our school. So right now, what we do, when we know that there are noted positive cases, we do the contact tracing. But for the majority of our situations, we have quarantined for the most part entire classrooms, because each classroom sets itself up for a different experience as it relates to whether or not we can social distance in a classroom, because classroom sizes are different. Numbers of kids in a classroom are different. So in our plan, we stated that we would social distance to the greatest extent possible while we continue to wear our facial coverings and implement other mitigation protocols in our buildings. We believe, and thank you to the board for going along with us as far as the facial coverings is concerned. We believe that is one of the most effective mitigation protocols that we can implement in our school districts, or in our school district. Now, recognizing what other districts are doing around us, it looks very different. In my conversations with other districts, although larger in some cases, the quarantines are much greater than ours. So what we'd like to do is pivot as it relates to the quarantines in our classroom. So I'll use myself as an example. I'm a positive case in a classroom. Dr. Beadle and Stacy Smith are my classmates that sit to the left and the right of me. Those two students will definitely be considered close contacts and quarantined. But what we like to move to is notifying all of the families, because right now we're only notifying families who are impacted, who are directly impacted by the positive case. What we'd like to do is move to notifying every single parent in that classroom that a positive case has been shared with us. And when we say positive case, I want to make sure everyone understands we do not accept home tests in our school district, primarily because with home tests, we're not sure who took the test. So we're looking for valid and reliable information from a testing site to determine either a positive or a negative case with our students. We have a partnership with Health Connections, who has helped us with this experience as we continue to move forward. So we actually are asking for documentation regarding cases from our students in our school district. But what we like to move to is to quarantine the close contacts for sure, and notify the parents in that classroom that we've had a positive case, or however many cases there were, and then allow the parents to make the decision regarding sending their students, keeping their students home, or sending the students to school, as long as they're asymptomatic. So what we're trying to do here is strike a balance between recovery of the unfinished learning that we know many of our students have experienced since March 13, 2020, and balance that with making sure that we keep everyone safe and healthy. Currently, as of September 27th, across the district, we have 11 positive cases. So the positive cases are not, the quarantines obviously far outnumber the number of positive students in our district, but we were being extra super cautious, if you will, in making sure that we didn't continue spread across the school district. So we want to be able to pull our parents in to help us be able to continue to mitigate transmission, but also again, balance that with keeping our kids with in-person learning. We believe that if we're unable to do that, we'll see the long-term effects of student proficiency and academic achievement continue to wane, as we know it did over this quarantine or this COVID experience. And so we're just trying to balance both as we continue to move forward. Otherwise, we do know for sure we'll continue to quarantine kids and at the levels in which we are as we continue to move forward. So we wanted to bring that. We've been bringing this information to the board. As we know, we'll make changes as it relates to pivoting and being flexible in this experience, and just also want to help everyone understand. Remember last year this time, we were virtual when school first started. I also want to remind everyone, last year, this time, our students were not experiencing COVID in the same manner in which they are now, because we're now up against the Delta variant, which shows up very differently in our schools at this time. So I hope I've explained that in a way that to share with the board and the community. Our goal, again, is to balance the safety and wellness with keeping our kids in-person learning while bringing our parents in to help us make that decision as it relates to, hey, a positive case was in room 204. I'm just using that as an example. We quarantine the close contacts, we notify all parents in that classroom, and the parents can decide on whether or not they want to choose to send their students to school or not. And with that being said, if parents make the choice because they want to be even more cautious with their own home environments, those kids will be provided asynchronous learning lessons. So they'll still have the opportunity to learn, and those absences will be considered excused for our students. So I'm hoping that I was as thorough as I could possibly be, as we recognize we are, for the first time in our school district, for the first time, we are at 100% capacity for the first time this year since March 13th, 2020. So this is where we are with the experience, and we wanted to share this information with the board as it relates to what we've seen in the first 4 weeks of school so far. So that's my update. Jody, if you wanted to add anything, please feel free to do so. Sharonda?
I think you did a wonderful job explaining what we would like to do moving forward. And the unfortunate part, as I have said within our cabinet from the beginning, is that this pandemic has made us have to balance the education of our children with their health and safety. And we should never have to pit those two concepts against each other. So we are trying our best to make sure that we can keep our students in seats as much as possible while still maintaining a high level of health within our buildings. So it is challenging, but we think that this is an appropriate pivot to make in order to keep as many kids in the buildings as possible throughout this.
Thank you, Jody.
Well said, ladies. Any questions?
I do have a question. Just going back to Dr. Brown's example, I'm just curious to understand this part of it. So using the example that Dr. Brown showed us, if Dr. Beadle ends up being a close contact to the positive case, and Dr. Beadle has siblings that are in different grade levels, are their siblings then also considered close contacts? And if you can help us understand how that would work then.
So if Dr. Beadle is a close contact, he's basically a primary contact. So he can touch the positive. His siblings cannot actually touch the positive person. They can only touch him. He is not sick. He is not symptomatic. So when we quarantine a close contact, the siblings are able to continue their education. Now, in the event Dr. Beadle goes home and he starts to experience symptoms, then his siblings would also then be quarantined because now they can touch the sick.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I got a question. I just wanted to make sure that I had the numbers written down correctly. So we've had 126 elementary school students quarantined, 284 students in the middle high school quarantined, and 11 positive cases.
The 11 positive cases are current.
All right, so 11 positive cases, but I was correct with the numbers. The 126 elementary school students have been quarantined.
Correct.
To date, and 284 students in our middle high school have been quarantined to date.
Correct, exactly.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I think Ms. Daniels, Ashley had her hand up.
I did, and it's just related to those students who are returning from quarantine and re-entering into their schools. Are they required to provide a proof of a negative test? Or are they?
Yeah, good question. I understand your question. So when you are quarantined, there are two options. There is a 7-day shortened quarantine. The 7-day quarantine requires a test at day 6 or after. So that gives your body enough time, if you are going to develop COVID, to have a positive test. So the 7-day quarantine, which is the early quarantine, does require a negative test for return. The 10-day does not require testing because you will basically undergo a full isolation period. And so by doing that 10 days, even if you had COVID, you would no longer be spreading COVID because you've completed an isolation period.
Thank you.
Any
So
other
I
questions?
have a question. I'm just kind of processing what you said, Sharonda, about the siblings not having to be quarantined, and then thinking through if they aren't, and then their sibling develops symptoms. Just thinking about how many more people have been exposed within those few days with those siblings going back and forth to the house with that person who's quarantined.
So I understand your question, and it is a good one, and it's a valid question. So, for example, if you had a child at home who was a close contact, but your child wasn't symptomatic. So then by the time, usually what happens is you usually don't get a positive test till that day 6. So by the time you get a positive test for a quarantiner, they usually have been out of the building, which means that they will probably never be symptomatic while on campus. So, and that's the reason for quarantining. So if your body becomes positive, then you're home.
And I get that, but I'm saying if that person then have siblings who are going back and forth to their classrooms every day, then are we now, so let's say, we'll put it back to Dr. Beadle. He tests positive after a few days. He has 2 siblings who have been going back and forth to school during his quarantine. Do you now quarantine those 2 siblings as well as their classrooms?
So again, then Dr. Beadle would then be quarantined at home. His siblings would then be household contacts. So they're home, they're hanging out, they're not sick, they're not ill at this point. So Dr. Beadle turned positive at home. So very rarely it happens, but it happens a small percentage of time. So if we quarantine 20 kids, it's not likely we're going to have more than 1 kid turn positive. At least that's been the case. So usually most kids don't go on to develop COVID or symptoms. So, but I don't think that it would be wise to quarantine a quarantiner's sibling or family, because what studies show is that that's not normally the case.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you very much. I know this was just an informational item. Thank you very much for the update, Dr. Kelsey Brown and Nurse Farrington, and letting us know exactly kind of where we're at in relationship to COVID-19 and the protocols and the things that you guys are doing to put in place in relationship to this. So thank you so much for that hard work and being able to do this, and hopefully we can get ahead of this thing and work everything out. And I know Jody and her team have been working very hard to ensure that the buildings are clean and sanitized as well too. So hopefully all of those different things will come into play and help us to mitigate the number of positive cases and the quarantines.
And Dr. Beadle, may I just also add to this discussion, just really quickly, that we definitely are looking for a level of consistency in our decision-making tree in this COVID experience. But I will share with you, and Sharonda and Jody and Mr. Garrison and a whole bunch of us can attest to the fact that sometimes there's just some really specific nuances to a specific situation, depending on how, one, we're notified of the case. Number 2, at the point in which we receive documentation of the case, which then in turn gives us the green light to go ahead and do the contact tracing. So it's sort of, it's like it's a project, if you will, that can take an entire day for us to be able to gather all the data that's necessary in order for us to be able to make a very sound decision. So I say that to say there is, I just want to make sure that we're not trying to compare like classroom quarantine for a second grade level classroom with a classroom quarantine with the sixth grade at the middle school, because it looks very, very different depending on how the information comes to us. That determines then what our next steps will be in order to determine whether it's quarantining a few kids or quarantining a classroom as we continue to move forward. So it is not as cut and dry as we would like for it to be. And I think it's just important to share that information with everyone, because again, all of the data that we collect on one case could look different in room 205 as opposed to room 201. So just, you all would never have, no one will ever have all of that information besides the COVID-19 task force, because we also have HEPA laws that we have to continue to abide by. But I just want to assure everyone that we collect all the data and we meet together as a team and we have the conversations to make a very sound decision about who is deemed the close contacts and who indeed will need to quarantine as we continue to move forward. So again, it is definitely a challenge because it's just not black and white as we continue to move forward. So, but rest assured, we are on top of it and we're communicating to the greatest extent possible as we continue again to balance this idea of instruction, keeping our kids in in-person learning and keeping everyone safe and healthy. And that includes our amazing staff who are dealing with this experience. And also keep in mind, we have a group of kids who are not vaccination eligible yet, but we also have some kids who have been vaccinated. And so those are all kinds of questions that we also have to ask in the process as well.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Kelsey Brown, for that update. And there aren't any other further questions for Dr. Kelsey Brown and or her team in relationship to this COVID-19 protocol. All right, thank you for the update. All right, let's move on. Let's move forward for the discussion and approval of the Brown Deer Elementary School After School Program. So would that be Ms. Simmons or would that be Dr. Kelsey Brown?
Yes, Ms. Simmons.
Yes, I'm here.
And I don't see Ms. Olsen. Ms. Simmons, is she on?
No, no, she is not able to attend tonight, so I'm
okay.
here in her place.
Standing in the gap. I love it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Do you have share screen access, Ellen, or do?
I sent it to you today. Was I supposed to be bringing it up?
Oh, okay. Give me 1 second.
Yes, please, let's share it. Do you have it, Dr. Kelsey Brown?
I'm going to send it to Kara. Can you share screen and pull it up? My apology for that, Ellen. I did receive it.
No problem.
Okay, here it comes, Kara. Oh, I don't have permission to share, Ellen. You'll have to do it.
Shoot.
Sorry about that. I thought I did. Kara, I just sent it to you on PDF, so you can email Kara. All right, here we are. It's in a PDF format. So we'll just scroll, okay, Ellen?
Sure. This is fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank the board for the $50,000 to continue this program. It started out way back when I started working in the district, and we had a CLC, a Community Learning Center, which was a $100,000 grant renewable for 5 years. After that 5 years, we had to reapply, and we were not successful 3 years in a row trying to gain that grant again. However, the district has been so generous in wanting the program to continue in some sort of fashion. And this year we have been granted $50,000 to do that. So I will be presenting this on behalf of Ms. Olson, who's unable to attend today. Can I scroll this? So the program overview, we would like to start on October 18th after conferences. And it will be Monday through Friday, with the exception of really short weeks, like if we have parent-teacher conferences again, or Thanksgiving week. Those weeks we do not have CLC, or excuse me, Falcon Friends. It does go through May 26th. So we start right after school, and they have a snack, and they are there until 5:30 when parents will be picking them up. This year we are sharing a bus route with the middle high school after set program. And we'll see how many students will need to ride that bus. We've never had a bus before for the Falcon Friends, so this will be a nice barrier that we can remove for some families. A snack will be given after school, and then the students will go to their rooms, academic rooms, for 85 minutes of academic support. We will have tier 2 support and reading interventions. Some students will go to homework and be assisted with their homework and with their reading, talking about studying and organizational skills and social emotional learning. On Thursdays, rather than Fridays, we'd like to have a fun enrichment day for their scholars. And we chose Thursday because oftentimes guest speakers that would come in and do practice with the kids don't want to give up their Fridays. So we're having it on Thursdays in hopes of getting more people into our building. There's just a list there that I listed a couple years ago before all this COVID hit of ideas. And I talked with some of these people about coming in and doing projects with our scholars. They would come in 3 or 4 Thursdays in a row. And at the end, the students would have something viable with them to take home with them, or some idea or talent. Am I controlling the scroll or somebody else? Okay, thank you. Our enrollment, as we get started here, the goal is to have between 75 and 80 students. 45 of those would be identified as needing reading interventions, and those would be recruited. If those parents would not submit their applications, we would reach out to them. And then there would be a remaining 30 to 35 students who would receive the homework help, working on Dreambox or math and reading games. The goal is to have 1 teacher per 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, which would be working on reading interventions, and then 2 teachers for the homework help time. We would like to recruit some of our high school scholars to be educational assistants. Or in the past, we've had some of our educational assistants or adults from the elementary school work. However, we're trying to figure out how we can hire them without going into overtime. So we're working with Kevin Klimek on that. We have an office assistant because oftentimes parents might come to get their kids early for whatever reasons. The assistant principals, Sarah Helverson and Jason Love, will be representatives for the program. Rebecca Olson does the lion's share of the program, however, with coordinating, managing, and implementing the program on a daily basis. I am there available as a consult, and we also have enrichment readers from the inside and outside of the school and Brown Deer community that will come and do enrichment activities. So our budget for this program for the implementer, which would be Ms. Olson, would be the $10,000. 5 teachers would get paid, including benefits. It ends up being $25 an hour, which is a total of $22,315. Our 5 educational assistants would be equivalent to $10,710. Enrichment leaders, if some of them come in and require a fee, that would include 24 Thursdays, which would be $900 if they were paid $25 an hour. An administrative assistant, it wouldn't have to be somebody normally in the office. It could be one of our other staff members that could do this job. Passport is what we would use on the computer. Ms. Olson was estimating that would be about $2,000. And then the remaining balance is $2,290. This program right now is first, second, and third grade. In the past, it's always been through fifth grade. However, we're challenged by obtaining enough teachers to work the program. So those monies could be used if we can find a fourth grade teacher or a fifth grade teacher. We're letting staff know that they can share the job. They wouldn't have to be here 5 days a week. It could be 2 or 3, and they could work it out with another staff member. So we're still haven't given up hope on that, because we did have a lot of fourth graders, parents who were interested in their fourth grader being in the program. So, we're not giving up hope on that, and we're going to continue to try and see if we can find some more teachers. Any questions?
Board members, do we have any questions? Board members, do we have any questions for Ms. Simmons?
I have just one question. You're going first through third grade only because you're unable to recruit the certificated staff for the fourth and fifth?
Yes, another reason is at the elementary, it's my understanding, they're really concentrating on our younger literacy with our younger ones, in hopes that when they get to third grade, they are more proficient in reading rather than trying to play catch up with fourth and fifth graders. We're really trying to hone in and get those first graders to read, and if not by second and then third for sure. So we're kind of supporting that part of our day school program.
Okay, that makes sense. I also I don't know, it's probably just a comment. I heard that you said that there would be high schoolers that would serve as educational assistants.
We've had some really good high school students before that have come down and worked with our scholars. And they would have to interview for that position. And we would, advertise it for our high school kids.
Okay, and then when my question is contact, would there always be an adult there as they're supporting that work?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they would be great question. They would be assisting in the classroom, and they might take maybe 4 scholars off to a corner and work with them, but the teacher is always in the classroom.
Okay, with
thank you.
kids.
Yep.
All right, you
mhm,
know
good
me.
question.
Thank
Yep,
you.
no, that's fine. That's good. Safety first.
I have a question. You were saying you're still trying to recruit teachers for fourth and fifth grade, but you've already utilized the entire $50,000 budget. So where would those additional funds come from?
Well, the 900, I know that's on the high end because I've already contacted with some of our enrichment people that would come in and do it for free. And then our supplies are not going to be that amount. That's kind of the surplus that we have currently, hoping that we'll be getting more staff and be able to add more sections. So it would come out of that part of the budget as well. And then maybe with our fourth and fifth grade, if we can't afford 5 days a week, maybe we could go 2 or 3 days a week with them to help them with their homework. Because oftentimes, by Friday, they don't have homework anymore. And if Thursday's enrichment day, maybe with our older kids, we would go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday with them. So it wouldn't cost as much, and we could afford another teacher or 2.
Okay.
So I just have a quick question in terms of how we pay for the program. And I'm just wondering, with the ESSER funds, could this fall under that? Could you possibly use some of the funds coming into the district earmarked for the ESSER dollars?
That would be
I
a
don't know.
Kevin
Maybe
question.
this is a Kevin question. Yeah.
Right, that's a great question.
I'll refer to Kevin.
Yeah, that's a great question for Lita, and I'll defer to Kevin as well. But Kevin and I did have a discussion about the use of our ESSER dollars to look at our after-school programming as an opportunity to capture unfinished learning for our students as well. And as we all know, part of the ESSER $3 is we're charged with 20%, or we have to demonstrate the 20% of those dollars are being used for unfinished learning through the use of research-based best practices. So again, Kevin and I have had the discussion, and I'll turn it over to Kevin as well. And Ellen, thank you for providing the context around the CLCs as well. As I know, there was a team that worked really hard to write those grants only for us to not be funded in those years, both at the elementary school and the middle school, middle high school. So thank you. Kevin?
Sure. I alluded to this last week during the annual meeting a little bit, because I think the after-school programs and how we utilize Fund 80 and a combination of ESSER funds, I think is still to be determined. We did levy for the after-school program last year, so we have $100,000 kind of sitting, or we had $100,000 that we levied for, we never spent last year. In my preliminary budgets, I had included $50,000 again for this year. And then there is also the option for the ESSER funding to do this as well. So I think we have some combination. So I would even say, not to promise Ellen anything specifically, but if we had 4th and 5th grade teachers that were interested in being a part of the program, I think we might split the program, between a couple different funding sources to make sure that we were providing the support that all of our students need. So it will probably be a little fluid as we get closer to the start of the program. I mean, in addition to what Ellen has mentioned, the busing point has come up, and we are prepared to work with Right Way to provide at least one bus after this program ends. It would be a combination middle high school and elementary school, and that would be funded through ESSER funding. It's not something we've ever done before, is providing busing for after school programs, but that's, again, we have a funding source to help support the program, and I think that's a perfect use for it, to make sure that we're getting all of our students that want to be a part of it to be able to participate, and we don't want transportation to be a barrier. So I guess it's to be determined to some extent, but we have funds through a variety of sources, and we'll be figuring out what the best matrix of how we would allot those resources to pay for the programs.
Okay, thank you.
Ellen, I'd just like to, one item for consideration is, we know our high school students all have to put in a number of service learning hours for graduation requirements. And so I would encourage you all to think about providing that service learning hour opportunity for our high school students as whoever decides that they would like to be a part of assisting with this. That's a way for them to get those hours in, if they haven't already done so.
Great idea.
And that was actually what I was actually getting ready to ask Dr. Kelsey Brown, and actually to Mr. Griffin. That we could turn around and use some of our high schoolers, some of our higher performing high schoolers, if they would like to be able to do that, to be able to come down and come help with the kind of the mentoring and kind of the working with those elementary school students. Now, Mr. Griffin, a question for you. So we're having problems finding 4th and 5th grade teachers. Do we have any assistants that would actually be really, really good?
Can't hear you, Mr. Griffin. You want to unmute, Mr. Griffin?
We do have a couple of educational assistants that would benefit, and a couple of them are currently enrolled in programs to get their teaching certificates. So that would be another opportunity to tap into some of them.
All right, because that was the other thing too. I was sitting there thinking, if we couldn't find those teachers, we potentially, I know that we have like our paras and other educational assistants that are there that are probably going through programs and things of that nature. And for them to get the license and stuff, they actually have to do some types of things like that as well too. So I was just kind of wondering, is there a way for us to, some things don't necessarily have to cost money to be able to do them. Sometimes we can just use other things that individuals have to do to be able to help work us out with that program as well too. So
the question would be, because they're educational assistants and it's the after school program, I think that would be a question for Mr. Klimek. Would it go into like an overtime situation if they work the after school program? Or is it aligned to their program to see if they can get hours by serving that way?
Yeah, we'd have to look at the specific situations, and again, we obviously want to control the cost as much as possible, but we also want to make sure this is saving the money for 2 or 3 years down the road isn't necessarily benefiting our kids right now. So if we have to address an overtime issue to get the right people in front of our kids right now, I mean, we'll work through that with the ESSER funding, certainly. So.
All right, thank you, because I think my biggest thing is when I think about this program and I think about the other needs and where our students are at, and then you start to think about kind of like how Ms. Brown was talking about trying to move our kids from 17 to 20. Well, you know, one of those ways that ends up happening is we start with our kids when they're younger and being able to get them and start to teach them up and being able to do that and stuff. So I don't think that, you know, I don't want a couple $1,000 to stop us from being able to help as many of our students as possible to be able to reach the goals that we need, especially when right now, since we've been able to have a few surpluses, we have the ESSER dollars that are there as well too. I'd rather be able to spend it on something that we know that is going to help benefit the district, help the kids in the long run, and then you know, we'll just probably be able to go from there. So that was kind of what my question was, and being able to do that. And Kevin, I know you're going to turn into a magician on trying to find us this money to do what needs to happen. All right, any other further questions in relationship to the Falcon Friends program before we go to a vote or motion? All right, hearing and seeing none, would someone like to make a motion to approve the Brown Deer Elementary School after-school program?
Dr. Beto, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Brown Deer Elementary School after-school program as presented.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zink. A motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Dr. Beto, I'll second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. Motion has been made and seconded. Any other further discussion? I would say one other discussion piece is, Kevin, if we put this for 50,000 and we're able to find some other dollars to be able to enhance or increase the program, will we have to bring that back to the board for another vote for more dollars? Or would it be more advantageous for us to potentially say being able to do this program and up to a specific dollar amount?
I think you're fine with that amount, because the biggest piece that the board will be a part of will be the tax levy for Fund 80, which we'll determine in about a month. So we'll have determined how much we think is a tax levy piece, which you will directly approve, and the rest of it will be through ESSER funding. So I think you're fine.
All right, thank you very much. Any other further questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor with raised hand and or aye? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Ms. Simmons, you have your program. All right, let's go on to item E, our transportation update. Mr. Clemming.
Good evening once again. I just wanted to provide a quick informational piece to the board, which I shared some of that in the weekly update from Dr. Kelsey Brown and members of the community who may happen to be at the meeting this evening. We talk about pivoting in a number of different areas. Well, we had to do a kind of a major pivot last week regarding transportation. We've been talking about it basically since the beginning of the school year. And if you've been watching the news, you see that there are considerable driver shortages around the country. This is not a Brown Deer issue. This is not a right way issue. This is all over. And so we did our best at the beginning of the year, trying to run our normal routes of 8 buses that we have done historically. It was to the point where I was in contact with them almost every morning, verifying that all the drivers had said they were going to be at work. Even then, we would have some last minute changes where drivers would not be available. We were blending routes at the last minute, and we sent out a few sky alerts as best we could to help communicate that to families. But it just got to the point where it was just too tenuous to try to continue with 8 routes, at least in the short term, while we were still addressing the driver shortage situation. So last Wednesday, we had a bit of a rough morning where they had to blend several routes together on both the elementary school and middle school routes. So later in the day, the decision was to drop down to 7 routes, specifically because they did not have drivers to have the 8th buses for us. So we made that decision to go down to 7. So it was a bit of a scramble to make those adjustments and let the kids know where where those the changes were, that certain routes were affected. But I want to give props and kudos to all of our building teams, the principals, the assistant principals, and the administrative assistants who helped get all of the kids where they were supposed to be and help communicate that Wednesday afternoon. Right Way then reached out Wednesday evening and made phone calls to families to let them know what the new pickup time and route would be for beginning Thursday morning. And they also did send out letters so families would have everything in writing as well, so they knew what the route times were. So we're going to continue in this new pattern for the near future with 7 routes until we feel like the staffing is available to bump back up into 8. So we do appreciate the patience that our families have shown, and hopefully they do understand that this is we're doing the best we can and trying to make sure that we have qualified drivers that are able to get our kids to and from school safely. One of the challenges has just been, I know from experience, Wednesday afternoon when I was assisting, we had people that usually work in the terminal driving the bus. We had people from other districts driving the buses. And so we're hoping now that by going down to 7, we're going to have some consistency in those drivers so that they'll get to know the kids. They'll feel more comfortable with those routes. And then, they'll know when where kids are supposed to be getting on and off the bus. So we're hoping that alleviates that problem going forward. So again, appreciate the community's patience as we get through this. And then just letting you know that we are in the final stages of testing the Here Comes the Bus application, which will be a godsend to this particular issue. We have sent the student lists to the bus to Right Way, and they're doing some testing with the final hardware that they've installed on the buses, the GPS software and that. And so we hope to have that rolled out within the next couple weeks. We will have, we'll share it either through email, through SkyAlerts. We'll let families know how to download the app and then how to enter their student ID information so that they'll be able to see the buses that their children are supposed to be on and where those buses are, both in the morning and in the evening for pickup and drop off. So it hasn't been incredibly smooth, and for that we do apologize, but we hope that we're at a point now that we'll have some stability short term until we get to the point where we can have enough consistent drivers that we can have 8. I will also add too that we continue to have an issue to some extent with extracurricular busing, with scheduling some of our activities, and we've Mr. McGregory and Kathy Anwar have done a great job trying to reschedule as much as we can to make sure that the buses are available, because usually during the evening route, we can't get a bus. So we either have to send kids a little early or we have to delay sporting events. But we have one of our staff members has stepped up to the plate, and she might be the first of many. As Dr. Kelsey Brown jokes, we're all going to end up getting our CDLs at some point soon. But we have a staff member who has a CDL, and Right Way will hire her as an employee, and she will be doing some of our extracurricular busing. They're going to actually drop a bus off here at the schools, and then she can drive teams to and from the sporting events, and then they'll pick up the bus in the morning for us. So that's one way that we've been trying to help our and she'll only drive for us too. That's the nice part, is we can schedule her as her schedule allows, and make sure that some of our co-curriculars will get to their activities on time. So we're excited about that, and certainly encourage anybody who wants to look at the profession of school bus driving. Please feel free to consider it, because they're looking to hire more people as we go. So again, we appreciate the patience as we get through this, and hopefully with the app rollout and additional drivers, hopefully this situation will start to slowly improve as time goes on. So are there any extra questions from the board?
Kevin, since we're going from 8 routes to 7 routes, are we going to realize any type of savings from that?
We are billed on a daily basis. I get the monthly invoices come showing me every day how many buses ran. So even, as unfortunate as the blending of routes was over several days over the course of September, on those days, we don't pay for 8 buses, we pay for 7. And so we'll be continuing to do that for 7. So if you look at our normal, it's 1/8 of the savings, so about 12% in the short term. So our overall busing transportation rate will probably be lower than what we originally budgeted, even with the increase that we experienced.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions from Mr. Klimek in relationship to transportation? All right, thank you very much. All right, let's go on to our item 5B, to our board reports, our SWSA and legislative update. Ms. Ashley.
All right, so I have a high level summary of some of the key takeaways from the September 14th SWSA meeting. One being that we received a lot of great information, again, from Children's Hospital representatives, Dr. Gutzeit and Dr. Kari, that just provided information that we already know regarding the spread of COVID and it not being really good. And in fact, our urgent and primary care centers are overwhelmed because the virus are hitting the young. High numbers of hospitalization with COVID and COVID respiratory illnesses. The doctors just continue to encourage districts to continue with mitigation methods that keep our students safe: masking, social distancing, hand washing, testing, and even the whole vaccine piece. Other information that was disseminated during this meeting had to do with President Biden's path out of the pandemic action plan. We all know that he rolled that out earlier, I believe this month. I think new information, which is really not new information, because the Journal Sentinel ran an article regarding MPS's vaccine requirement for staff, and they are providing $100 incentives for students to receive the vaccination. As far as legislative updates coming from SWSA, a number of hearings in the Assembly took place on September 4th, including a hearing on AB 420 relating to payments to independent charter schools, AB 446 relating to reading readiness assessments, and granting rulemaking authority. So this particular bill is known as I mentioned, the reading readiness bill, but DPI is opposing this bill because it's the feeling that more testing and no funding is really not good for districts, right? Other matters before the Assembly Education Committee includes the Assembly Bill 560 relating to subjects on human growth and development. I think I mentioned this at our last board meeting. And then dropping down to the Senate education side, bills related to SB, the Senate Bill 373 relating to making school districts and school financial information available to the public. And then, of course, incorporating cursive writing in the state model English language art standards and requiring cursive writing in the elementary school, which is really, really, really a hot topic. And it is not currently being supported by SWSA. And so that pretty much our next meeting for SWSA is scheduled for September. Actually, the executive committee, which Monica is a part of, or Dr. Kelsey Brown is part of, is September 28th. And then SWSA membership meeting is October 12th. And I'm really excited about that meeting because we will have as guest Ellen Borsick, who is senior fellow in law and public policy, but he is also a Milwaukee Journal Sentinel columnist. And then there is Charles Franklin, a professor of law and public policy, and they're the guests for that day. Dr. Brown, did you have anything to add?
Sure, just real quick. There were a couple of other bills that went to the, that was on the Assembly floor on today. And if I duplicate one that you may have said, please accept my apology in advance. But we have the, you talked about the school district financial information being made public. The CRT bill was on the Assembly floor today. Cursive writing was on the floor. A few others, just really quick, are Assembly Bill 561, requiring school boards to report information regarding credit recovery courses for students in high school. And then Bill number 563, requiring instruction in civic education in the elementary and high school grades. They are revisiting high school graduation requirements and requiring the exercise of rulemaking authority, which I'm not sure about the details of that one. But those were just a few of the, and then another Assembly Bill 564 regarding the $100 million in school mental health from the federal American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. So all of those are on the assembly floor today. I'm not exactly sure what happened just yet, but I'm sure there'll be more information that will be shared with us as we continue to understand what's happening in Madison as it relates to schools. And that's the additional update that I have, Ms. Ashley.
Awesome, thank you. Are there
You're
any
welcome.
questions from the board or anybody?
No, all right, so Ms. Ashley, would you take us through our YSAB report?
This is gonna be really brief. I think what is really important are the upcoming events. So it's not too late to register today to attend the regional meeting and pre-workshop that is happening October 19th in Pewaukee. So registration and networking begin at 6. There's a dinner at 6:30. And then the meeting runs from 7:30 to 9. And I would suggest that you go to their website if you're interested in getting registered. I did notice that there was some additional information, particularly with respects to the surge in the Delta, and that they have now asked, I think they're giving folks an option to attend virtually. And if you're going to attend in person, I think they're going to require that you show proof of, I believe, vaccination, and then require you to wear a mask. But all that information can be, if you're interested in attending, can be found on WASB's website. It is for the week of October 3rd through the 9th, it's school board week. So districts looking for resources to help celebrate their wonderful board members and promote the work in the community. You can also head to that website to get ideas regarding that. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that there is a legal policy newsletter that can be found also on that website, and it's chock full of all kinds of information, namely the specifics regarding Biden's vaccine mandates and how they will be rolled out and the action plan. And so he is pretty much, our president is pretty much calling for all states to adopt a voluntary COVID vaccine requirement for school employees. And that can be found in its entirety on the website. And then finally, there is the feds who released guidance on preventing discrimination, right? So the United States Department of Education has released a guidance document that's intended to help schools plan for successful and equitable return to classrooms. And so this 20-page document includes fact sheets, Q&As, letters, all kinds of information that's intended for elementary and secondary schools. And that can also be found on the website. And that pretty much concludes my report with regards to WASB.
All right, thank you. Questions? Any other questions for Felita? All right, thank you very much. Let's go on to our Education Foundation report. Ms. Robinson.
Yes, so this month's meeting was focused on our planning for the upcoming year. So we're just looking at how we can best function as an organization, looking at perhaps adding a couple of subcommittees so that we can work more effectively and efficiently and getting those assignments done. There was a decision that we would wait on the Wall of Inspiration event still until we can have a ceremony safely in person, and also considering moving that to every other year instead of every year, so that we can have enough time to properly plan that event, to get nominations and make those selections as well. The board also decided that we will have a goal to increase our scholarship amounts for this year. So hoping to increase individual scholarships to $2,000 per student. So our fundraising will be very important with us being able to effectively meet that goal in this upcoming year. And I think that is what we have. We will continue a couple of those discussions that we had in terms of the planning pieces. But yeah, that was what we had for the month of September.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Any questions for Dorinthia? All right, let's go on now to our Parks and Recreation report. Ms. Peterson.
Yes, we met on September 7th. And it was Chad Howard, the Park and Rec Director for the department, gave his summer culmination report. And so he talked about from yoga to Zumba to the swim lessons, even to the cornhole tournament. There were over 675 persons that participated in our summer programs this year. And so he, as well as the department, were pleased with that number. I mentioned last month, but just wanted to mention it again in case it was missed. The fall program guide is out and has been released. You can find it on the website and download it there. And registration for the different programs opened on August 16th. And then finally, there is a position that is available in the Park and Rec department. It's the Recreation Supervisor. And the department is accepting applications until October 12th. And then our next meeting is scheduled for October 5th of 2021. And this concludes my report.
Okay, question for you, Ms. Peterson. That rec supervisor position, it closes October 12th. Was there any, was that a full-time position or a part-time position?
It is a full-time position. I think that you can find all the information on the website. We thought that we had the position filled, but ultimately the person got offered a different job, and so we had to open it back up again.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Peterson in relationship to Parks and Rec?
Pardon me?
I was just asking anyone else had any more questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's go on to item number 6, our board planning calendar. October 8th is a homecoming football game, and I guess we're playing Martin Luther at 7 o'clock. October 12th is parent-teacher conferences in person. October 12th, we'll have our special board meeting at here in the middle school commons area at 6. October 13th, parent-teacher conferences. October 14th, parent-teacher conferences, and October 15th, no school. The 26th will be our regular board meeting here in the middle school commons. The 29th is professional learning day, so there is no school. November 9th, our special board meeting here in the middle school commons at 6. The 19th, professional learning day, so no school. 23rd is our regular board meeting here at 6 p.m. The 24th is early release day, and November 25th and 26th is Happy Gobble Gobble Day, Thanksgiving Day. So there's no school, and we can all eat and watch our girlish figures.
Dr. Beadle, just a quick correction to the homecoming football game, October 1st.
Right, that's what I was sitting there thinking, because
rather than
I know that
October
the thing
8th.
was right, and
Yes.
I was wondering. I was like, okay, so we've changed that up because on the first, so it's been the parade, and then the game usually follows right after. So
Correct.
okay. So again, correction, October 1st is the football game against Martin Luther at 7 p.m. So with that being said, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Dr. Beadle, this is Lisa. I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right, motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I will.
To be all second.
Oh, okay. Was that Dorinthia? Who was that?
It was Anita, but you can put Dorinthia down.
We kind of both started at the same time, so.
Yes,
Okay.
we did.
All right. So we'll leave Dorinthia, okay? All right, motion's been made a second. All in favor, raise hand or aye. Man, that was a fast vote. Motion carries unanimously to 7-0. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedules to sit with our Board of Education. Thank you. God bless. Drive safe. Have a great remainder of the evening, even greater week and even greater weekend. I call this meeting adjourned at 7:55 p.m. Thank you very much and good night.